updates on the injury is kind of the same as what I told you after the game and where we're at today. But I'd just like to make another comment on Calvin. It's the tough part of the business. It really is. And having spent a year with him in Jacksonville and coming here, knowing what the game means to him, being voted a team captain, it's tough. This is a tough one. And he worked so hard to get back, to be able to play in the game. And then for the first play, after making a big play for us to start the game, it's tough. That was a tough one to walk on the field and kind of see that. So I just really want to thank him for everything, for who he is and what he's done for this team up to this point in time. Okay, that'll get me to the game. As you look at it, we knew what type of game it was going to be, the way they're going to play, the style of play, what we were going to do to have to beat them. You go through it and you look at every play from the first play to the very end, and there's plenty of positive in there, but you do enough things to get beat by a good football team. But you look at the way the defense started the game, the big stop there, the sack by Cody, the offense going down and getting points, and as the game goes on, there's certain things that come up. And then, you look at it, the way the defense played throughout the game, and there's always going to be a couple plays you wish you had back, a couple big conversions that we gave up. And then offensively, you look at it, the way we finished the game after losing, the three receivers going out there, the way they did in the time of the game, and then the way the coaches and the players kind of adjusted in a 12 personnel to go down there and drive 95 yards like they did is outstanding. And that's the way, you love to see the guys do that. So give those guys a ton of credit for what they did. But it just goes down to you can't beat yourself against a good football team with the false start penalties, number 3 and outs, giving up key conversions on third down on the defense side of the ball, and just some little things that get you beat on a good football team. So we got to continue to keep fighting. That's the only way to do it. Keep working and move on to the next one. So
how was Calvin doing, and how did he take what happened yesterday?
That's a tough one. You go on the field, something's the matter. You're not exactly sure what it is. It's then you see him. That's the first thing I did when I went in at halftime to find out where he was, and he was crushed, obviously. And I've got a great relationship with Calvin. It started back in Jacksonville. You just love the way he works every day. I mean, he truly comes out here and he works his tail off, and the way he runs and the way he only knows how to play football one way, and that's all out. And it's such an honor for him to be a captain, like I mentioned, and I think that it meant so much to him, and for him to get back, I think really all the guys that had been out for X number of weeks, what the game means to them, they're great examples for the younger players on what it means to play this game. And it sucks that Calvin, he got injured.
How do you plan to move forward at receiver?
Well, we're gonna, wait and see the health of the other guys, like we talked about, that got dinged also later in the game, and just it'll be by committee as of right now, and we're going to work through that. I mean, it's Monday, so we'll kind of work through those things, and we always talk about it's players, and a great example of that is the last drive offensively. It's players going down and making plays and guys stepping up. So that goes into the game planning week in and week out on what we think is with the personnel you have because of injuries, your skilled players you have. Maybe it's more multiple personnel groupings, things like that. But our job is to put the players in a position to be successful. So,
as you evaluate the options, what are some of the things that
you got your glasses back on? I see, because you got that light blinking at me. Yeah.
So as far as what was Streppel, what are some of the things that he would have to do to get an opportunity to get caught up and get some action?
Well, we'll look at where the roster is coming later in the week on the health of everybody and kind of see where it is. And he's done a great job of starting to work more in the kicking game. That was something he didn't do as much of early on, and then he understands the importance of being in the kicking game. So those are some of the things, but we'll see what happens, throughout the week to see, what our options are going to be moving forward.
After the Colts game, you expressed some regret about your fourth down decision. Mm-hmm. Are you anywhere on the regret meter about your fourth down decision in this one?
No, not at all. We were going to take the points there in that situation, the way our defense was playing and everything, and the score of the game at the time. No, I have no regrets at all.
Some guys taking the points, Mike.
Go ahead.
some guys expressed a lot of frustration in the locker room after the game, most notably Jeff. What's your take as a coach on guys, voicing their concerns like that?
I don't know. I mean, Jeff wants to win. Jeff's a very competitive person, just like everybody in that locker room. They want to win. So I understand the frustrations, and there's things that are said at times, and it's just guys have a burning desire to win and want to be great, and so they work so hard, and that's the frustrating thing for everybody is you're in this to win, and you play so hard, you work so hard, you're prepared in the week to do certain things a certain way. So I understand it.
When you talk about those fourth down decisions, you often say we, the people you're discussing with. What is the brain trust there? And can you kind of talk us through when the decisions start, when the discussions start, and kind of how they are made in the moment?
Well, you always talk, you have when you go in, you always sit down and say, okay, how are we going to approach the game? What are we doing on a week-to-week basis? You talk about a situational, we have a situational meeting at times. Okay, here's where certain things are. Here's where, where's our kick line start on a week-to-week basis? What team are you playing? How are you going to, analyze certain situations when they come up? There's so many other things that come into it during the game also. What is the score of the game? Where is the field position? How is your team playing? So there's a number of different things, and it's not always going to be the same. It's not going to be the same week in and week out. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, when you do arrive at the decision, and how is that process made? Is that you making a choice?
I make the call.
Okay.
I make the call.
Can you talk us through kind of the route that you've leaned conservative on these decisions? Did your mentors kind of bring you up as a conservative guy? Like, what's the root of that for you?
No, I'm going to go in every time you've asked me this question, I'm going to give you the same answer. I'm going to do what I think at the time is the best for the football team. And what is the situation?
Consistently. So I'm wondering what the core of that.
I've answered this question a number of times for you, so I'm good.
How was you evaluate maybe Cam's day yesterday?
I think Cam, there's a couple plays you'll say, I think he would tell you right, if you asked him today too, there's a couple plays you wish you had back, but I think he played well. I think there's a number of, he audibled the one time when he got the ball to Mason there, which was a great check during the game. You guys have been asking a number of times about him taking off and running, and I think he had, the 3 times he ran the ball yesterday were big plays for us. But overall, I think, he played well, and happy with the way he played. Unfortunately, there's a couple plays in there you look back, say, God, I wish we would have made those plays for one reason or another. But that's the game. You're not going to hit every one of them, but it was a good game for him.
It seemed like he was getting rid of the ball a little bit faster. Would you say like he was more decisive, or was that game plan, or would you even agree to that?
Well, no, I think 51 and 55 have a little bit to do with that too, going in with the game plan of understanding, those two guys, and I give our guys credit for the majority of the game. We kind of neutralized those two on the edges, and that was a big plan of getting the ball out of your hand. But I think that also comes with experience and the growth part of Cam, where he was at, and understanding of what he needs to do against a good defense. That's a great defense. And understanding the challenges of not being able to hold the ball, because if you hold it too long, that's when those guys break free and they wreak havoc on you. But I think that it was a really good game for him. I like the way he played.
The defense, Mike, to your point about the Texans' defense struggling to run the football for you guys yesterday.
Yeah.
It's kind of been inconsistent all year long. What's really kind of keeping that from breaking through?
That wasn't, we can't run the ball like that. That was not good yesterday. The limited number of carries, obviously you'd like to run it more. But we weren't having the success you want to, and give them credit for certain things. There's certain things we've run against them in the past that didn't work, didn't have the same results the other day. But we have to run the football and execute better.
Why were there so many false starts, especially with JC, in a game where you're at home and the crowd's not really factoring in at all?
Yeah, that's something we have to. You can't have 5 false starts in a game. And, that's something I know you guys all asked JC about it after the game. He gave you his reason, but it's something we definitely have to clean up. That's unacceptable. Then there was also the one was on Cam with changing the cadence, doing certain things, so that was on him. He understands that. And then, the center had one. Look, Cush had the one. So we got to clean that. You can't have 5 in a game. It's hard enough against a team.
To that end, you talked about when you took the job, got moved into this role, how one of your main things was going to be accountability
Yeah.
across the board.
Yep.
How do you make an offensive line accountable, especially for those pre-snap penalties, considering where your depth is?
Well, you address it as a team. Same thing if you, you say certain things to them during the sideline, and during the game on the sideline. You approach them and tell them that this, we cannot have, this is unacceptable. We can't have this, and they all understand. They're not trying to make the mistakes, and but that's something we have to clean up. That's a pre-snap penalty against a really good team. I mean, one's bad enough as it is, but 5, we can't have it.
Jeff said there were 4 on Friday. Was he maybe exaggerating to make a point?
Yeah, we've talked about this, and there was 2 on Friday. The second play of the defense from the look team, the second play someone had a false start, and the wide receiver the first play of the team period for the offense had one. So there was the 2, and that's when I spoke up at practice.
What's your sense, Mike, I guess, what kind of vibe do you get from the defense relative to their feeling about the offense's struggles over the last few weeks?
Well, I think at times they're competitors, and I think everybody is doing everything they can to win. And I think so when there's times where leaders are going to speak up, and that's what leaders do.
The television broadcast mentioned that you guys had brought in at some point Troy Aikman and Peyton Manning to talk to Cam about struggling at the beginning of your career. Can you maybe tell us more about what happened there?
I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you. I was not there for that.
When you talk, sorry to follow up on my question, how do you, I guess, you allow leaders to speak up, but you want to keep the overall tenor and mood of the locker room in check. I guess, how much do you allow them to say, and how much input do you have to keep everything even keel there?
Well, it's all about the team, and I want everybody to stick together. Everyone is going to express their opinions differently, and I think everybody, the guys do it different ways. And at certain times, in the heat of the battle, someone may say something, but I think we're trying to win, and that's what leaders, they're going to go out and say certain things, and a guy might say it a little different than some other guys, but they're leading.
What were the teaching points on that last 3rd down completion by the Texans today after you'd seen the film and got with the guys? What were the teaching points, and does it illustrate how thin the margins are, that one detail, one play can be the difference? Yeah,
everything matters. All those little details are critical, and we got to drop with more depth. Force them to throw that ball underneath. Throw it to the flat, rally to the ball, and just because the quarterback, when you're playing a certain way and you get a certain depth, he's going to check that ball down more often than not. So we got to get more depth there and don't allow them. I'll say this: he made a phenomenal throw, but we can't allow him to make that throw. We got to force him to say, okay, check the ball underneath, rally the ball, punt it, and let's go see what the offense does.
I'm curious. Winston.
Oh, love what he's doing. I love what Kevin's doing right now. You could see, and I talked to him a number of times during the game, and like I told you guys for weeks now, I'm learning about these guys more on the defensive side because I wasn't with them as much, obviously, in the offseason or during training camp, and just to talk to him during the game, and you could see the confidence growing in his play. And I was talking to the staff earlier, or talking to Bones earlier about it. There's a play in the special teams that he was on the backside of something, and you could see all of a sudden, here comes 23 flying across the field, and there was some juice. I mean, he plays extremely fast, and I think he's getting more and more confidence. And talking to him during the game, it's just, you can see it. It's getting easier for him. So he's got a really bright future, and that's the beauty of it, is when you play these younger guys, you can see them starting to go this way and play with more confidence. That's what it's all about. I'm happy for those guys.
Curious what your philosophy is as far as allowing the flow of the game to dictate play calling, as opposed to making your play calling dictate the flow of the game.
Well, I think it's kind of a combination of both, because you go in with a certain game plan, but then how is the game going? You adjust. A great example is the last drive of the game. We weren't expecting to be in that situation in a 12 personnel grouping. Usually, might be guys in different positions doing certain things. So there's always going to be changes during a game, and what are you doing well at that time? I mean, back in the day, he's running it 50-plus times with Tim Tebow playing quarterback and throwing it a couple times in the game. Then you flip that, you play with Peyton Manning, and you're throwing it X number of times and run it. So it's it's the same thing here. It's week to week, it changes. You might go into a plan and they take something away, and you say we got to do more of the other. Or there's the same thing with concepts. There's certain schemes because all of a sudden the team might change coverages and do more, play more man coverage than you thought it was going to be zone this week. So now you get more to your man beaters. So that's all part of coaching and game planning and play calling.
How much do you hope maybe that 95-yard drive helps Cam maybe moving forward?
Well, I think it's a step in the right direction of when the game's on the line, going out there and doing that. And it's a great example too of completions, just completions, moving it down, starting the drive with a positive play. The throw he made to Gunner, you can't get any better coverage than that. It was a perfect throw and a great catch, and it was a successful play. So, you like to see the growth that he made yesterday in the game.
Given the depleted situation at wide receiver now, might you have to rely more on the tight ends to be playmakers in this offense until people can get healthy?
Yeah, I think it's going to be every week. It's going to be players. Who do you have available, and putting those players in a position to be successful is definitely a key. That's part of adjusting your game plan and see who's available and what you think is best that week. So we'll have to adjust that.
You've coached teams before that built around the young quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
like teams are doing here, but also the team playing this week, Seattle. You've coached those teams that went out and got the free agent quarterback before.
Yeah.
Can you just tell me the pros and cons of team building under both of those strategies? Is it easier with one? Is it harder with one? Or does it kind of all quarterbacking is quarterbacking?
Oh, no. It's, when you have a veteran, they've been through it. And Sam's been on a couple teams, and he's taken his lumps at different places. And I do think from time to time, though, a change of scenery is the best thing for players. You might not be, might not be successful on this team. All of a sudden, you go somewhere like he was last year, the success he had, and then obviously he was a free agent. And he went here, and he's playing with a very talented roster there, and the success he's had. So when you have the veteran, they've done it before. And then there's the rookie situation where there's the first time that you go in there and you see a team, you see a certain defensive coordinator for the first time, and you take your lumps at times, and there's been the ups and downs this year with Cam, and you continue to grow, and then you see the way he played yesterday, the second time he played that coordinator, and the way they call the games, and it's the same thing for somebody like Sam. He's played, a number of years and against certain teams with different teams, things like that. So you grow as it. So you kind of always try to do what your players do best, and obviously you have the veteran that's played a lot of football. There's a little more experience with the protections and doing certain things, and but it's young players got to learn somehow. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
See you later in the week.
What was, film study like today coming out of yesterday's game?
Disappointing, another embarrassing loss for us. It's got to be better.
What's happening with the false starts specifically in that game, Lloyd? I know it was primarily JC, and he spoke about it after the game, but why was it so hard to kind of settle in?
Sometimes just a lot of communication going on at the line of scrimmage, and you got to find a way to just focus in your head and just kind of stay poised. I had one that myself kind of antsy a little bit, but it's unacceptable. It's embarrassing, honestly, and we got to be better.
I guess why is that? You guys have been back together now with JC, at least back in the lineup. Why is that still happening, would you say?
Can't really it really just comes down to focus and just discipline. Keep staying on them about it, keep staying on myself about it, because again, like I said, I had one. But it's very unacceptable. We got to be better than that.
When the run game struggles like it did yesterday to you guys on the O-line, you take blame for that and take it upon yourselves for it to be better?
For sure. We're going to take it on the chin. We're going to take blame for a lot of things that's going on as an offense. And that was a good defense that we played against. They good against the run, against every team. But we definitely take pride in that. We got to be a lot better than that.
You consider yourself all the way back, man, from the Achilles?
Achilles. There's some other things that's been going on, but there's no excuse. Once you're out there on that field, it doesn't matter. No one cares. You guys don't care. The guys I'm going against don't care. So, we got to find a way to just keep working, keep getting better.
Given all that, how do you assess like your whole time here, last year and this year, since you signed? How has Lloyd Cushenberry played for this team?
It's been disappointing. I feel like for myself, the standard I hold for myself has been not up to par, and I know it's been obvious, and I have to be better these next 7 games.
Some of the defensive players, they've, expressed the desire to be more direct and communication and not sugarcoating. Obviously, towards the offense, like how do you receive that communication, and what can you guys do to like keep it from, getting personal, just taking it as
that's cool with me. We all grown men. Obviously, they're frustrated. We frustrated with ourselves. We're not just out there. It's like, oh, it'll be all right. Nah, we're very disappointed and we're embarrassed about our performance. So, yeah, I mean, we all grown men. We can handle direct talk. It's cool with me.
Is there as much frustration on the offensive side as we're seeing on the defensive side?
Yeah, yes, for sure.
What do you think Cam's made his biggest improvement from week 1 to through yesterday's game?
Just growing, being able to learn things from one game to the next. We played Houston twice, so he knew what to expect from coverages and things they may present. So he's been growing every game, and we just got to be better around him to help him continue to grow as he progresses in his career.
Lloyd, one of the things you guys all talked about on the offensive line in training camp was how encouraged you were by progress in the running game. Where has that been, especially here in recent weeks?
It hasn't been there. We get down, and then we kind of have to get in a situation where we first of all, yesterday we hurt ourselves. We were backed up, so we couldn't really lean on the run game because we were going backwards most of the time. So we got to get back on track and throw the ball. So got to avoid that and then just stay on schedule. That'll help the run game.
Up to this point, after losses, there have been plenty of guys in the locker room that talk about focusing on the positive and how there are strides being made, etc. It seemed like yesterday that tone kind of shifted a little bit. How would you say that feeling is? Like, what level of positivity is there now after the way things went down yesterday?
Got to find a way to still keep it. Obviously, I mean, everyone's frustrated. Defense is frustrated with us. We're frustrated with ourselves. And it's hard to be positive, but we got to find a way to come back Wednesday and shift our mindset to Seattle. It's a new week, new opponent, and we can't. Obviously, we're not just blowing this one by, but we have to be better. It's hard to be positive, but that's what we got to do. Speaking of Seattle, what do you think of their interior guys is going to go against? Quite a challenge, huh? Yeah, very good defense. Very good defense. Play well together. Good scheme. They fly around, they attack the ball just like what we faced last week. So another challenge, and we got to be up to it.
I noticed yesterday, I guess, when the Fort Campbell soldiers were on the field, you kind of went through and shook hands with all of them and spent some time with them. How come you did that? Just showing respect for those guys. I mean, they risked their lives for us. So just wanted to show my respects as much as I can to greet them and thank them for their services. What was feedback like from them? They were just excited to be there. You could tell they love football. They love the Titans. So it's just excitement. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
It was cool. It's a divisional game, and everything was, keep trying to, compare it to every game. Everything is a fight. So.
Jeff had some pointed criticism yesterday, just generally of where things are at. How do you guys kind of keep that from becoming personal, even though he obviously didn't intend it to be personal?
I mean, like I said, Jeff is Jeff. He, wherever he's frustrated at, I mean, that's him. But me personally, I can only got to depend on the defense. You know what I'm saying? And I keep trying to tell other players, because some people been having experience about losing teams, winning teams. You can't depend on every personnel, as I've been in this game for a while, I can't bank on special teams. I can't bank on the offense. The only thing we got to do is control what we got going on, So it's going to be times where you're going to hear a lot of, defense is up. But it is what it is. That's the most exciting part about it. We have another chance to stop a series. So that's what I can take on that. All that outside stuff, I really don't be caring about who is this person's fault, whether it's a blame game. I don't blame anybody. The only thing I can control is Jihad Ward and, control what the defense got going on. So.
Is that a perspective you've had your whole time?
I had
or
that.
was there a point that you kind of learned that through playing?
I had that mostly all my life, so I don't blame nobody. You know what I mean? All I do is look at myself in the mirror. So.
What's been your impression with what Denard Wilson's been able to do with losing guys to injuries, guys being traded away, and the defense still putting up decent efforts the last few weeks?
I mean, it's a next play. I mean, it's a next man up mentality. We here for a reason. They signed them guys for a reason. They're a good fit to the team. So, we had a lot of guys that we lost. Salute to them. We all know it's a business. That's why we got to contain the brotherhood that we have, because we don't know who gonna go.
What has Denard been doing specifically, though, that's kind of held this thing together, him and the defensive coaches?
Just making sure everybody come close. Everybody's communicative, what we need to work on and stuff like that. So, and Denard, it's all about the players at the end of the day. So he just makes sure what works for the next game plan. So he tell her how it is. We honest, we're not sensitive about anything, and we just ready to work. So.
You talk about handling your business and the defense getting the job done. How much more frustrating does that make their final drive after the offense does tie it up for you? You give up the big completion and ultimately the three.
I mean, it is what it is, man. We want those plays back that we had that's bad, but it's like it's a next play mentality. Like, I can show you a lot of plays that I could have done better. You know what I'm saying? I could have had, what was that, the Chargers game that we had? I feel like I should have paid more efficient to that play. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not going to sit here and make that play define the 60 or 50 or 40 plays that I got going on right in front of me. No. So I just got to take advantage of what's going on to finish the game. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish.
Isn't it more painful, though, that when the finish is there, that the defense that largely I think played pretty well yesterday can't make the play that wins the game, or yesterday's case gets it to overtime?
Yeah, but that's just the whole process. You just got to just keep going, man. Sometimes we just laugh about it and be like, damn, we could have had that one. We could have had that one. But we got to think about the other plays that we got it done. We can't control the game. It's just, it's a game of inches, and we got to do what we got to do.
Harden said he feels like it's harder these days to get young guys to kind of follow the vets the way it was maybe earlier in his career. I'm wondering if you have a little bit of that feeling about generationally and maybe about this team.
I feel where he's coming from. A lot of young guys feel like they try to take in charge, since, well, me personally, I feel like everybody is grown. I'm not going to treat no young cat like a rookie. I treat everybody as grown men. So my mentality is like, all right, cool. If you don't want to listen, that's fine. You're just going to hit adversity. NFL, you're going to hit adversity early or middle or late. So the bottom line is you going to hit it, what you going to do about it? So is if you listen to the veterans or you just going to be in that deep hole. So that's my whole take about the whole situation if the young players don't want to step up or the young players just don't want to listen. So, but we got some young cats over here, they buying in, and that's all I can say on that one.
You feel the accountability factor is where it should be across the board?
I think so. Yeah, man. Listen, I'm with the guys to the fullest. Accountability and all that. So I'm with any player that needs some advice, any young player, whether you old player and all that. I'm just trying to get to know everybody. So It's crazy because when I first got here, it's a lot of things that me and Jeff, me and Arden, and the rest of the guys did. It's just amazing, just learning from one another. So I'm just happy to be around the guys. So whether the scoreboard. I don't look at scoreboards. I don't look at certain situations on personnels. Back to the whole offense and the special teams. What can we do once we finish with the series and all that so we can get ready to get back on the field? I don't depend on nobody, and I'm ready to be with my dogs to the end.
As you go down the stretch with the games left, you're on a contract. You may be here, you may not be here. How do you go about processing all of that and just going out and doing what you got to do?
Man, I've been in 8 or 7 teams. I've been traded. I've been released. So I'm just here to do my job, do what I gotta do. I really don't control what's going on upstairs on them offices. You know what I mean? I've been way past all that, you know, certain situations. Like I said, I know everything is a business. I'm here to do my job. I'm here to do my part and have fun. Because one thing you worry about this stuff upstairs, you know what I mean, it's stuff that you can't control, you know, so I control the grass. You know what I mean? I can't worry about what's going on up there. You know what I mean? It's a business, man, and that's the nasty part about it. And I'm not saying that it's a bad situation upstairs. I'm just saying a lot of people, I see a lot of people go through things with the business side of it, you know, whether it's reps, whether it's contracts, whether it's any schemes. Been through all the businesses that's been going on in this game. But one thing I can do, I want to live when I'm done with all this. I don't want to leave this league with regret, so.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.